UFC 307 this weekend. Great fight card. Had a little bit of everything. Had Potan, as we said, continuing his dominant reign. Probably the most popular and best current fighter in the UFC right now, as of today.
Yep.
I had
agree.
some split decisions, some controversial split decisions, some boring fights, some injuries that happened.
Some knockouts, some
and that was all just
subs.
in the main card.
Yeah, it was an electric day, regardless of, if the fights were great or not. The crowd was there.
Overall, the card wasn't great, but the main event delivered, so that kind of just washes over most of what you think. But before we get to the main event, before we get to the main card, Alex, as always, let's preview the prelims. I'm sorry, recap the prelims.
You do that almost every week, too. I love it. All right, UFC kicked off the prelims at the Delta Center with the Utah native Court McGee scoring a submission victory over Tim Means. This win stopped.
Court McGee sounds like the most Utah name possible.
I didn't think of that, but I actually kind of get it. This win for Court McGee stopped the 3-fight losing skid and added his first submission victory in the UFC since his UFC debut at UFC 121.
It's been around.
Tecia Pennington for the next fight won by unanimous decision over Carla Esparza. Tecia landed more powerful shots, forcing Esparza to shoot takedowns and enter her retirement on a loss. Womp womp.
So there we go.
Ryan Spann defeated Ovince St. Preux by guillotine just 95 seconds into the first round. Spann's power forced St. Preux to shoot a takedown, but Superman's poise in the clinch helped him grab the
Spann,
opening
he's one of
win.
those guys they mentioned during the broadcast. He has so much talent. He's never been consistent with it, though.
Yep. And that's what he said in his post-fight, that you're about to see consistency from him. Ovince St. Preux has since been deleted off the UFC roster.
Yeah, I mean, he was
40 years old.
Yeah, 40 years old. He's been in the
last fight
UFC
of
a
his
while.
contract, so it was
He
about
does have a
time.
choke named after him that he did it so much, so shout out St. Preux.
And I would say Dustin Poirier would be proud of that guillotine
He
choke.
pulled the gilly, yeah.
Next up, Cesar Almeida returned to the win column with a decision win over Ihor Potieria.
Ihor.
Almeida was taken down but never accepted that position, always striking, earning him 30-27 on all the judges' scorecards for this one. Next up, Alexander Hernandez stuffed all 12 of Austin Hubbard's takedown attempts while narrowly outstriking Hubbard to earn the split decision nod from the judges. This win could help Hernandez turn a corner in his rocky UFC career, evening him up 7 wins, 7 losses in the UFC.
Nice, 7. He's starting over.
Yes.
Fresh start.
Back to 500, you get to start over. Or is that... Yeah, that's 500. There we go. Woohoo! Iasmin Lucindo took home a split decision win over Marina Rodriguez. Lucindo was able to secure takedowns on Rodriguez in all 3 rounds with 4 minutes, 40 seconds of control while matching the limited striking output from both. So I agree with the split decision nod there.
Then we go from that to the non-limiting striking.
Right, and to wrap up the prelims, Joaquin Buckley delivered a knockout blow to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
No disrespect for Potan, but Buckley had the best knockout of the night.
Yep. About the halfway point of the final round, with scorecards really everywhere, there wasn't a judge.
It was a close fight.
Yeah.
And they were both, it was entertaining.
One judge gave 2 rounds Buckley, one judge gave 2 rounds Thompson, one judge gave 1 round each.
Thompson lost the fight, but coming in, he was wondering why they were on the prelims. And looking back, hindsight, this should have definitely been a main card fight.
They could have put the Pennington Pena fight on the main.
This should have been a main card fight.
Yeah, I agree. Either way, great knockout from Buckley, leaving the judges out of it, as this card especially needed.
And then he had, but Buckley probably had the best call out on that, I think, Kamaru Usman.
Kamaru Usman's a great call out, and it also put him at 4-0 in the welterweight division.
He's on the tear. He's a new man.
New man in the welterweight division.
Dolidze Holland opened up the main event.
Yep.
Main card. Looked to be an exciting fight. Dolidze looked to be winning the first round.
Yeah.
Kind of dominating the first round. And then I think it was about with a minute left on the ground. You could see Holland scream in pain.
Yeah.
But he kept going. He survived the round. Turned out he popped his rib. Called the fight. Kind of disappointing. This was looking to be one of the promising fights because we know Holland. He's one of those guys that he can pull a win out of nothing, and he's entertaining.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of knockout wins, sub wins. He can really do it. He can pull out a long decision.
He can be a guy who can knock you out from his back. He can choke you. Like,
Yeah.
And Dolidze, this was, he's trying to build that resume into what everybody thought he was.
And I gotta say, it's a good win for Dolidze.
It's a good win. You take the win because you caused the.
Right. But you have to look. Dolidze's losses in the UFC have aged pretty well. I mean, he's only got 3 UFC losses, one to Imavov, one to Vittori, I believe. Like, his losses aren't against. I believe his first loss might have been against a scrub, but his other 2 losses are against like top opponents at one point in the middleweight division. So, I mean, you got Imavov nearing a title shot, inevitable at some point.
Yeah.
So the losses are aging well. I like Dolidze where he's at. Only 3 losses in the UFC. I got questions though. Who's next? As always, Brendan Allen just lost to Nasruddin Imavov, so that means they would be on a similar fight timeline as far as like camps if they want to take breaks or not. Paulo Costa, who we figured out kind of sucks.
I wouldn't go that far.
Sucks in the middleweight division because he just seems like he doesn't care. He has a lot of natural talent, but he doesn't put all his effort into his camps. I feel like it would be a great fight for Roman Dolidze. Or I just mentioned Marvin Vittori. What about a rematch there? Give him a chance to earn his win back, or avenge his loss, if you will.
I like him fighting the best-looking guy in the UFC, Paulo Costa.
All right,
give me
I
that
like
fight.
It. Secret Juice versus the Caucasian.
The Caucasian. That's a good nickname.
Even though Paulo Costa's nickname's Borrachina, I think it is, right?
The Eraser.
There you go.
Kayla Harrison, Ketlen, Vieira.
There you go. Unanimous decision.
The biggest odds of the night didn't look that way. Harrison definitely won the fight. I'm not saying that, but I think she was like minus 900 coming into this.
Minus 1150 by the time it closes.
Yeah, Vieira, she didn't get blown out. She didn't look bad.
Right. She wasn't able to quite hold her own.
The aura around Kayla Harrison is that she's just some bull that's going to come and wreck shop. I.e. how like Ronda Rousey started.
Right.
She's good.
Cyborg, how
she's great. Kayla Harrison. She's probably going to get a title shot next. She's probably going to win the title shot next. But
she dominated on the ground. She wasn't able to take her down every time, which holds props to Vieira's takedown defense. But she won in every aspect of the fight. It just wasn't as easy as...
It's a fight where both... Harrison got the win, deserved win. As you said, she dominated on the ground. Vieira, you got the loss, but you didn't get dominated how a lot of people thought you were. So it's almost like for her, it's kind of a wash, Vieira. Harrison gets the win. She's still a step closer to the title shot. And I still think Julianna Pena did everything she could not to say Kayla Harrison's name.
And if we're talking about like aging losses, over like previous fights, this will probably be a great aging loss for Ketlen Vieira.
I'm pretty sure Kayla Harrison's going to be the champ by the end of the year.
End of the year, end of 25, because we're nearing the end of the year now. It's already October.
Yeah, she's going to get a title shot next.
Yeah. All right. That's who this next, just a title shot.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of
nothing else.
The divisions with the least amount of depth in it.
Right.
I mean, she's already well known. She's already kind of a star in MMA. She's a gold medalist.
Two-time.
I think it's a no-brainer. The UFC wants her to be the champ, I think, in this division. They need somebody to carry this division, i.e. how Amanda Nunes did. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's no-brainer. Kayla Harrison, title shot next. She's probably going to dominate Julianna Pena.
She does say she needs a little bit more time off this time, Kayla Harrison, because that weight cut just kills her every time.
She did say she peed blood the week of the fight and went to the hospital.
That's crazy. You got to hide that from USADA, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight. Finally, in the correct order for myself, Jose Aldo loses the split decision to Mario Bautista, and
probably the least entertaining fight of the night, and that's saying a lot compared to the fight we're talking about.
The internet is up in arms on this one, mainly because of how Mario Bautista was talking post-fight.
Yeah, it was a split decision. I think I scored it Bautista winning, but as you said, post-fight he said, I knew his takedown defense was good, but I also knew he couldn't get off the fence if I put him there.
Merab was able to hold him against the fence and do a very similar type of fight to this, which earned Merab the win.
But Merab did it a lot,
more effectively. It's prettier. He strikes while he's doing it. Merab is very, very active, so nobody's ever going to break them apart. This is a fight where the judges were breaking them, not them, they were breaking people apart, left and right, 5 seconds against the cage, breaking him up, except for this fight.
No, but then he started breaking him up, and then he would break him up, and then right away, Bautista would go do the same thing.
So that's where, in my opinion, like, I get, and I agree, Mario Bautista won on the scorecards.
Dana White was pissed about this fight.
If you look at, like, on the flip side, Austin Hubbard lost a fight where all he did was shoot takedowns in the prelims. Austin Hubbard versus Alex Hernandez. This is the same type of fight.
Yeah, but he still controlled it.
Well, Austin Hubbard's controlling, against the fence as well, just not as much. I get what everybody's saying, why, Bautista pissed him off.
I get Bautista pissing him off, but Aldo...
0 out of 10 takedowns, but you have 7 minutes of control.
Aldo didn't do anything.
No.
Aldo did nothing to win the fight.
The judges were bad. Worse tonight than most nights, I'd say. And that's saying something.
I would disagree. I think it's about the same. Just
Mario Bautista deserved the split decision nod. I get that. I just don't like his comments. If that's your camp, is to hold somebody against the fence, that kind of sucks.
I kind of like his comment. I like that he's being honest. He's just like, hey,
I want him to lie because at that point I want him to get a good fight next and somebody just to smoke him.
Yeah, UFC's probably going to sit him on the shelf after this.
All right, so
he's definitely going to be on the prelims after this.
If he gets a good opponent because he beat, Jose Aldo of all people. If he gets a good opponent, let's assume Rob Font is up there, Chito Vera, Song Yadong, all options above him in the bantamweight rankings, all options that he could seemingly.
I think the UFC really likes Chito, so they're not going to have him. This is a bad stylistic matchup for Chito, and they want Chito. He's an entertaining guy,
Yeah,
they're
I
not going to
agree.
give him that fight.
I think Song Yadong has a big presence as well. And
yeah.
I think Rob Font, after losing to Figueiredo, after losing to Garbrandt, I think that's the fight to make. Honestly.
Yeah, and I think Rob Font's the kind of guy I think he could fight back on this.
Yeah.
You hold me against the fence. He's a
the long guy in the division, especially. He's got wrestling.
Give me Rob Font, Bautista next. Give it on a prelim somewhere.
And that's a fight I wouldn't put Chito on a prelim.
No, you're not putting Chito on
or Song Yadong at this point. Maybe a main event fight night, but that would be about it. Anyway, let's move on to the first title fight.
And this was the worst judges of the night.
I hate it so bad. Julianna Pena defeated Raquel Pennington by split decision. The
most undeserving two-time champ in UFC history.
Oh my God! I hope so. If this is her run of like, I beat Amanda Nunes, and then immediately got dog walked by Amanda Nunes, and then I beat Raquel Pennington, and then
dog walked by Kayla Harrison.
I would love that for her.
Me too.
But anyway, if we side with the judges here, Julianna Pena did have the edge in striking, but she was knocked down in probably the most crucial moment of the whole fight.
It was round by round, and I think most people agreed, if you're watching, it was 2-2 going into the fifth. The fifth.
Right.
And I don't think there's any doubt you could say that Pennington did not win the fifth round.
The problem is, if you look at the judges' scorecards, the first 4 rounds are just all over the place.
Yes.
Where, as a community, a lot of people can say, so-and-so won 1, so-and-so won 2, 3, 4, whatever, and then Raquel Pennington obviously won the 5th. You're down to, judges' scorecards that have been so wishy-washy in the past.
Well, Joe Rogan made a comment.
It just sucks.
Did you hear his comment? I don't think it was during this fight, but it was another fight. There was a close one. And Anik said, I don't know how the judges are going to score this one. I don't know how you can score this one. And
Joe's
Rogan
being
said,
a little spicy.
Joe said, he's not even watching this fight.
Yeah, Joe's being a little spicy for sure. But that kind of shows you that it's serious.
It's like the biggest open, quote unquote, secret in the UFC and it's infuriating. It's like this in boxing too, but it's like the judges are horrible.
Now, there's always that thought that it's at least that's been said in the UFC before. If you have to beat the champ. Did you see Pennington being beaten in that fight?
No.
And then Sean Strickland. Did you see Sean Strickland getting beaten in that DDP
No, I wouldn't
fight?
say, but I also don't think that's a real thing.
I know.
You got to beat the champ. Why are you bringing up that?
I'm just always so salty about DDP beating Sean because the whole middleweight division would play out differently at that point.
Izzy would probably be champ right now.
Right. Which would be sick. Anyway, who's next for Julianna Pena? She called out Amanda Nunes.
It's not.
I read on the internet today that's just a troll move, just to piss off Kayla Harrison, which funny if it is, but I really think that she thinks her best option of defending the title is
I don't think it's a troll move because literally it's the only thing she's been talking about for the past 3 years.
And I hate it so much.
Yeah, but I think Kayla Harrison, I think that's the fight to make. As we said earlier, it's not a deep division.
And I need to stop
Harrison's
saying,
a star in the making. Kayla Harrison's going to dominate her.
I noticed it a couple times last week. I said Kayla Harris. You weren't here. You dipped. But
Harrison.
It's Harrison. I know it is.
Gold medalist.
I don't read off my page as well as I should half the time. Anyway, let's go on to the main event. A sick knockout. Second best knockout of the night. Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree Jr.
Fourth round. Knockout
Khalil
by body
had the
shot.
first two, I'd say.
He did. And he looked good. He looked better than most people have looked, other than Izzy, against Pereira. But Pereira was disciplined.
Problem is, you as a champ, you know how to fight. As a not long-time champ, but as somebody
he's been fighting at championship level.
Right. He has
kickboxing in this.
He's headlined 6 numbered UFC
and he
cards.
Was a championship kickboxer.
You know how to fight
was a kickboxing
rounds.
fight.
That's where you're going to put it on the most if you're,
He was disciplined. He is patented calf kick. I mean, you just he keeps doing that, keeps doing that, and then by the end, by the fourth round, his leg was fucked. Khalil's.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
He had crazy body shots. Khalil's face was tore up.
Yeah, he had a thing on his nose prior to the fight. It looked like something he had, like a little, not a scratch, but like a cut that was healing.
And then there was a cut opening.
It blew up by the end of the fight. The cut over the eye.
His whole eye was swollen. He had nasal surgery today.
Good fight by Khalil, I gotta say.
Khalil, one of the few cases where you get knocked out, but his stock rose, I think, in the MMA community. Because, most people thought Pereira was going to come walk through him.
You said that. You said his first, an early knockout is what you told me.
Khalil, as we said, won the first 2 probably. Every judge had it 2-1 going into the fourth round.
Probably the best judging scorecard of the night.
Yeah, honestly, I think so too. But Pereira did what he does, knocks the guy out. He turned it on. I don't think anybody. And if your game plan is to sit and strike with this dude, it's not going to go well for you.
And honestly, if his coach is Glover. Imagine if someone tries to take him down.
Yeah, he's been working on it.
Yeah, like if nobody does it,
he's that good at striking, and he's been a kickboxer for that long. He doesn't have
he's
trains,
not learning, but he's not learning a whole bunch on the feet anymore. He's dialing things in on the feet, but he's growing on the ground while nobody's giving him any attempts on the ground, so he can just grow silently.
And I'm gonna beat you to the gun. Ankalaev is what everybody's saying is the fight.
Yeah, I got a couple options.
Is it Ankalaev?
Magomed Ankalaev, yeah.
Ankalaev is.
But he's got to beat Rakic first.
He does have to beat Rakic first.
Which is hilarious that.
Ankalaev is favored, but
he's not.
They're still doubting this guy. I don't see it. I think.
I get it if you have the Russian Dagestani dude.
I get it, but it's
but Brazil is also a big heavyweight in the UFC.
And if it's that easy to do it to this dude, why has nobody done it?
Right. Izzy could wrestle if he needed to. Sean Strickland could wrestle. We see him fighting with Pereira's camp now. The dude can wrestle. Khalil knows how to wrestle. If it was that big of a deal, if the championship meant that much to Rountree, he'd have pulled a Bautista move and just held him against the cage for 5 rounds. But nobody can actually do it. Magomed Ankalaev versus Rakic. Winner of that fight's my first option.
Yeah.
Second option, winner of Carlos Ulberg versus Volkan Ozdemir.
I like that one too. I like Ulberg.
Third option, least likely in my opinion,
John Jones.
Jamal Hill rematch. Because Jamal Hill just thinks he got robbed, but I rewatched that fight often. There was enough time for you to.
Yeah, Jamal Hill, and he tried. He was in the crowd and he tried to do the yawning thing.
Yeah, it's like, bro, you got not. You
all
were
the comments
sleeping.
roasted him. They're like, you're just waking up from when he knocked you out.
That's the best. Yeah. Anyway, I think winner of Ankalaev or Rakic.
I think that's the most likely, especially if it's Ankalaev.
But depending on the timeline, let's say Pereira wants to fight the beginning of 2025. We know he's going to take some time off after 3 defenses in 4 months. But what if the Ulberg fight ends quickly, and whoever wins can get a title shot sooner than Ankalaev?
Ulberg's out of Izzy's camp too, City Kickboxing too, so it might have a little.
I could easily see Ankalaev getting passed over. Or losing.
Yeah.
Just surprisingly getting a loss and then just having no reason to give him a title shot in the future.
I could see it too. But
it would be hilarious. Ultimate UFC troll move by Ankalaev himself.
Pereira's got options though.
Yep, we like it. All right.